So I've had several questions in the past on how we roast pigs. We've got one of the biggest ones yet, 180 pounds, and my brother and I have been doing this for 16 years, and my good wife, and we're going to go through, see how to put old piggy here, old babe, on the barbecue. Little tour of our setup. When we go to process the hog, we'll take and split her down the hams in between. We're going to use a fresh Sawzall blade and cut the ribs so we can lay it out butterflied, trim it up nice and neat, wipe it down, hit it with some mustard after we trim it, inject it with some apple cider, and then a little bit of Johnny seasoning salt to go on it. Once we get her done, or that done, we've got a grate here that will sit on for the whole smoking process, and then we've got a pit over here that we'll fire up with charcoal. We'll put the charcoal in each of the four corners under the thick parts, the hams and the picnics, and have it smoked underneath the hood for probably about 12 hours, 15 hours, depends on, until we get to 203, and pull her off, let it rest, and then start pulling apart for the barbecue. All right, so we're going to get ready to split the ribs. We found that this gives a much better final product, allows it to smoke really well, and gets done more evenly. So, starting on either side of the spine. And then lastly, we're going to split the pelvis. Now's a fun job of cleaning up all the bone dust, trimming her up, getting all the extra lard and bits out, and then we'll season it up. Now that we've trimmed it up, we're injecting it with some apple juice, give a little bit of flavor and a little bit more moisture inside the deep muscle tissue. And now that that's done, we're going to give it a rub to make sure that the seasoning sticks. Doesn't give much flavor, but it also, the vinegar in the mustard helps to keep the bees and the flies away. We've got ice and we've got the fan that helps. And we're just using a simple yellow mustard rub.
Frenchies.
And giving a good slather on everything.
That's the bottom, not me.
Sure. And we don't bother too much on the skin because we want it on the muscle, the stuff that we're actually going to be eating. A generous amount of the good yellow stuff. At this point, we also have the fire starting to get going. Got the charcoal so that we'll have good coals ready by the time we put this on, which is still probably another half hour away. Give it a rub, then we'll do the seasoning on it. Put a little bit of foil on the trotters, leave those on, and then put her on and put the smoke on. So next thing we're going to do, now we have a good mustard rub, the trotters and ears are wrapped, is we're going to give it a liberal seasoning with Johnny seasoning salt. All right, so now we have everything seasoned up. We've got our thermometers in the 4 thickest parts, and we are using the MEATER 4-pack so that we can monitor the temperature. It's just given us a better result last year when we tried that. Got it set to give us an alarm with a target of 203 degrees. They'll have us pull it off before we hit 203 for the rest, but it's rather nice to have it. Next thing we're going to do is put it onto the fire, onto the pit, which we have moved the charcoal to the 4 corners, and just keep it low and slow, aiming for about 225 inside the cooker. Now we have the pig on the fire, and the last step before setting her to go is to put the hood on and close it down. We have the hood on now. Keep the smoke in. Get Babe cooking along, nice and low and slow. We've got some fantastic seasoned cherry going on. Give it a little bit of good smoke on top of the mesquite charcoal we got going. Here we got everything coming up to temp. Got the smoke rolling out of the hood. Everything's closed up, and now we're going to just set her on for about 15 hours, trying to maintain that temperature. All right, so the pig's been on for 15 hours now on the smoker. We've been trying to maintain the smoker between 200 and 225 degrees. We did aluminum wraps on the butt and shoulders once they hit about 160 to help with the stall. And they are now coming up on 200 degrees, so we are getting ready to pull it off for an hour rest. Guys, if you want to go ahead and take the smoker hood off. And she looks absolutely gorgeous. So now we're going to put rebar through the eye bolts on the rack and carry it over to the table to allow it to rest. We've got her moved over to the table to rest, pulled off the foil. Man, that looks gorgeous. All of our temperatures are looking good. Gonna give her about a nice hour rest and then start carving.